In studio with Matt Harvey and John Gilstrap.
Good morning.
Morning.
And via telephone, friend of the show here. Unfortunately, we couldn't line up these dates so that Lee could be here in studio, so we had to do this via telephone. Lee Dean. Lee, good morning, sir. How are you? Did we lose Lee? I guess we did. Yeah, Lee, do I have you now? Well, Lee, call back.
Yeah, can you hear me?
Oh, there you are. Yeah.
Well, good morning. This is actually Frank Sinatra, old Blue Eyes, coming on Martinsburg Radio here. It's good to hear the voice of Rob, Matt, and John. You guys doing okay?
We're doing okay.
Jack.
Good. Well, you know what? I hate to inform you. It's just me this morning. They call me old Blue Eyes, and we call Dean Martin old Red Eyes. And he just couldn't function for a 9:30 a.m. interview. He barely functions at 9:30 p.m. at night. So the bump's hung over is what I'm saying.
Hey.
But you got me here, and I just want to promote something exciting coming tomorrow night. You know what it is?
You're going to be at the Apollo.
We are. We're going to be at the beautiful Apollo Theater right there in downtown Martinsburg, and we're so privileged to come. That's a beautiful theater. I was there in November 2022 and had a marvelous time. And now I'm bringing some friends back with me, and we're going to do a Rat Pack tribute show. So that'll star Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Marilyn Monroe. And I'm telling you what, we're going to transform that over 100-year-old Apollo Theater into the 1961 Sands Hotel, Casino, and Resort in Las Vegas.
You breaking out the tux?
What's that?
Are you breaking out the tuxedo?
Oh, absolutely. Marilyn will be adorned in a lovely evening gown. Dean Martin will be in a tux. I'll be in probably a nice three-piece suit with my hat. And you're going to hear some great songs. You're going to hear songs like "Fly Me to the Moon." You'll hear Dean Martin sing "That's the Morning," and then you'll even hear Marilyn Monroe sing some songs. She'll sing songs like "Diamonds Are a Girl's Best Friend" and "I Want to Be Loved by You." We'll do some songs together, big numbers like "New York, New York." And Marilyn always seems to find a birthday boy in the crowd.
I was going to ask that.
Yeah. Well, whether it's his birthday or not, she's going to go sing happy birthday to him. And she'll do it just like she did for the president, John F. Kennedy. So it's going to be a great evening. There'll be humor. There'll be comedy. Those shows in Las Vegas and those nightclubs were a riot. I mean, they engaged the crowd. They involved the crowd. They picked on the guys and they flirted with the girls. And it's going to be a great evening. Lots of great music. And we just want to make money for the Apollo Theater. We believe in theaters. We believe that they are economic drivers to downtowns, and we just want to be a blessing to the people of Martinsburg.
What other venues have you played around the state doing this show, the Rat Pack?
Oh, we've performed this show in every state park in West Virginia. We performed this show at the Greenbrier Resort there in White Sulphur Springs. We perform it pretty regularly at the Stonewall Resort. So every state park, all the nice resorts. We've done several wineries. But you know what? And what I like about us is it doesn't have to be a big venue for us to go to it. We like to go to nursing homes and senior centers too, because sometimes, especially the nursing homes, those folks they don't get to go places and they don't get to go see entertainment. So we spend a lot of our time paying visits to them and entertaining them and talking to them and giving them a good time. And sometimes, they don't remember what they ate for breakfast or even their own names sometimes. But when you sing these old songs, they come alive, and they sing, and they laugh, and they dance. And so we just believe in spreading cheer, love, and joy any way we can. Matter of fact, tomorrow before the show, we're going to pop in around noon and just give a little sneak preview show at the Berkeley County Senior Center.
Oh, that's awesome.
And yeah, we're just going to just pop in there and just sing some songs and interact with them and take some pictures. We'll be fully in costume, and we just want to be a blessing to them. And I think even tonight we're going to roll into town a little early, and we're going to stop by Bricks 27. You guys know that place?
Oh, yeah.
Well, we hear your mayor's having a shindig there, and we love him. He came and saw us sing in Charleston, West Virginia when he was in town, so we're going to repay the favor. We're coming to his town. We're going to come see him.
That's very nice. You were doing, obviously Francis Albert wasn't, but Lee Dean, if he's in there somewhere, was doing some Elvis shows not too long ago as well. So I know this is something that you love to do and travel around and doing it as well, too. So Is it possible to talk to Lee Dean here, or is Frank the only one I have this morning?
No, this is Lee. Well, Elvis is here too, baby, and I want to thank you. Thank you very much for having us on.
You're quite welcome.
Hang on a second. Wait, we got one more. This is Johnny Cash. How are you doing?
Oh, great.
So we've added a lot of people since I was out there. I was there in November in 2022. We did an Elvis and Frank Sinatra show. We gave them both at the Apollo that night, and since then we've added a full-length Johnny Cash show, and it's an unbelievable show. It's just all those up-tempo rockabilly songs, Folsom Prison Blues, I Walk the Line, A Boy Named Sue, Burning Ring of Fire, and we've even added a one-man Grand Ole Opry show. I do Johnny Cash, Waylon Jennings, Willie Nelson, George Jones, George Strait, Garth Brooks, costume changes, everything, all their iconic songs. Basically, if you duct tape my mouth, I wouldn't make another dime, my friend.
And this is the point. Once again, you're all the singers at this show tonight. There is not three different people doing these songs.
Well, tomorrow night there will be. I'm actually bringing a Dean Martin and a Marilyn Monroe.
Oh, that's great.
But for everybody else, it's always me and all the crazy personalities I have. But there'll be three people on stage at the Apollo. My best friend in the whole wide world, George Snyder. He's my Dean Martin. And we've got a lovely lady that plays Marilyn Monroe, Megan Collins. And then my wife, Haley. She makes us all look good and sound good. She runs it all and keeps us on pace.
And go ahead, John.
Yeah, I was just going to say, Lee, this is John Gilstrat. There is, I call it angel dust, which is probably I shouldn't because that's a drug, but or unicorn hair maybe. There's a thing that makes an act really special and almost irreplaceable. And something about the Rat Pack, it was before my time, really. I was a kid, but it's not something I would watch. But you go on YouTube and you watch these performances, and it's unique. You cannot replace it. These guys, they get together, and what was it about that chemistry that just worked so well and made it so unique, so enjoyable?
Well, I like to think that we have what they have. They were friends. They were legit friends. They played together. They worked together. They sang together. They made movies together. And they drank and partied a little together, too. But they were truly friends. They had each other's backs. And they also didn't want to waste the audience's time. They truly felt that if you were giving them your time, then it was their mission and obligation to make the most of it. And that's what we feel. Listen, I don't take it for granted that people come see me. I don't. There's a million things they could be doing. They could be doing laundry, going out to a restaurant, watching a movie, sleeping, watching Amazon Prime. There's a million things you can do. And when you come see me, you gave me something that you can't get back. You gave me the gift of your time, and I'm not going to waste it. These shows are very crowd engaging, crowd interactive. Before the show starts, for 30 minutes, we're mingling with the crowd. We're in the lobby with them, getting to know them, getting to find out who's a veteran, who's got a birthday, who's celebrating an anniversary. And we take pictures with them, and we talk with them, we cut up with them. But we win their hearts before we even hit the stage. And that makes them much more engaged. And so it's just all about not wasting people's time. We want to make the most of their time.
Matt?
Hey, Lee, it's Matt Harvey.
I can hear your voice, brother.
Well, it's good to be heard. The first time I've seen two of your performances. The first was a murder mystery down at Glade Springs for the Association of Counties, probably, I don't know, 6-7 years ago. So you also have do you still do the murder mysteries? We do, and actually the gentleman that plays my Dean Martin, he's the owner of the Murder Mystery Company, and that we've got companies in Ohio, Kentucky, and West Virginia. And so every week there's 3-4 murder mysteries going on in multiple states. And that's kind of how this whole Rat Pack thing came about. I didn't just wake up one day and say, I'm going to do a Frank Sinatra show. I've always liked Frank Sinatra. But my friend George, he saw something in me in 2015. He wrote a murder mystery. He's got 60 of them. But he wrote one called Murder at the USO. And it was based around characters like Bob Hope, Bing Crosby, Frank Sinatra, Judy Garland, and people that were traveling, entertaining the troops during World War II. Well, he built a murder mystery around it. He said, I want you to play Frank Sinatra. I was like, I can't do that. I've never done that. He goes, yeah, just act like him and wear a suit and sing one song. And I did it, and that people loved it so much. That's what led to me developing the Frank Sinatra tribute show. And then he's always been a big Dean Martin fan, so we collaborated, and we came up with like a Frank and Dean thing. And then we got our friend Marilyn, and we've all become friends through the Murder Mystery Company.
And so we just developed this Rat Pack tribute show based off of murder mysteries. So, yeah, the murder mysteries are still going strong and growing.
Seems like Mr. Gilstrap and Mr. Lee Dean should get together because there's a lot you guys have in common, killing people off here.
Well, that's true. Yeah.
As an author, John kills people routinely in his books.
Well,
No respect for life whatsoever.
None.
nobody will die tomorrow night at the Apollo. This is a Rat Pack tribute show, so it's going to run about 90 minutes. Again, singing, laughter, comedy. Dean Martin will make some cheesy toasts, and Marilyn will flirt. We'll sing all the great iconic songs like "My Way," "Fly Me to the Moon," "New York, New York," "That's Amore." So it's really going to be fun.
Tickets available at the door?
They are. They're available in advance and at the door. I believe they're $25. Starts at 8 p.m. You can call 263-6766, 263-6766, or go to their website, apollocivictheater.org. And if somebody out there, if you really want to come and you're strapped for cash, you give me a shout. I'll make sure you get in the door. My phone number is 304-972-1119. 304-972-1119. You call me, and I'll make sure that we can find a way to get you there. I mean that.
hey, Lee, the other character that's probably your least known, but should be for all West Virginians one of your best known is Jennings Randolph.
Oh, guys, I love doing that.
I got to see that when you did that for the James and Rose students that were at the Capitol.
That's the first time we had Lee on the show, and he was traveling with Mac Warner about the Jennings Randolph performance.
It was. That's my day job. That's what I do for healthcare. I'm the senior field rep for the West Virginia Secretary of State's office, and one of my duties is I get to travel to, I probably did it in 50 high schools this year, travel to high schools, and I get to talk like Jennings Randolph from Harrison County and talk about how I fought 29 years to get 18-year-olds the right to vote, because if they were old enough for bullets, then they were old enough for ballots.
That seems like if you take Jim Ignatowski and you just do a more mature, less stoned version of Jim Ignatowski from Taxi, that would give you Jennings Randolph.
Well, let me ask you about that. There's probably did you have some recordings of Jennings? Have you heard his voice? There's some recordings of that.
There's not a lot out there. I'm not going to lie. There's not a lot. I mean, just people didn't have cell phone cameras back when he was in office. He served from 1933 through 1985. Now there are some archive videos that you can find on YouTube, but basically, I mean, these young people, they really don't even know who Jennings Randolph is until I tell them, and I try to make his story come alive. So I really just try to capture his essence in more of an older gentleman, stately gentleman grandfather kind of way, and tell his story with excitement and fervor about how he fought for them to have the right to vote.
You know, it occurs to me what you do is called schizophrenia if you don't get paid for it.
Well, I'm not bipolar. I'm tripolar.
Do you know who the real Lee Dean is, Lee? Have you lost yourself inside your characters?
Every now and then he shows up. He does. But I can't thank you guys enough for what you do for Berkeley County and the Martinsburg area. I catch you guys pretty regularly. I love the guests you have on. Listen, local radio is just it's the real deal, and it's so informative, and it's so needed, maybe more now than ever. So thank you all for what you do. I appreciate you.
Lee, I think you just made our open as well.
No, I mean it. I'm your biggest fans. You guys are rock stars. So I'm your cheerleader and your fanboy.
Well, we appreciate the love, man. I honestly really do. Hey, Gula Angle is usually the person who's your go-between when you are looking to get on the show here, and she and Roger are just such marvelous people and contributors to so many good things here in Berkeley County. How did you get to know Gula Angle?
Well, first off, I love Roger and Gula. I got so many friends there in Martinsburg. They're all great. But I met them because Secretary of State Mac Warner and I visited the Apollo. I'd never been to the Apollo, and we went there to give them a certificate. We have an award through the Secretary of State's office called the Centurion Business Award, and we present that to any business that's been around for 100 years or more. And so we went to Martinsburg and presented that certificate to the Apollo Theater, and through there we met Michael Knoll, who runs the place, and he's kind of the artistic director there, and he gave us all the history and the background on the theater. And then I met Roger and Gula that day, and I said, guys, listen, I do this crazy show, this entertainment here, and I told him, I said, I'll give you a free show just to help raise money for renovations and things you want to do to this place. And that's what we did there in November of 2022. And so I just fell in love with everybody out there. There's so many good people out there.
Lee, and this is the thing here, the show will involve the donation of the ticket fees to the Apollo. And as you've been doing these around the state, do you have any idea what this means to their budgets? Have you been able to get into the cash side of this to find out exactly what kind of contributions you're making?
Well, everywhere we go, it's all about making money for the venues, whether it's the state park or an upscale restaurant or a senior center. I go to some senior centers, and it's sad the conditions that they're in. They don't have good ovens to cook for seniors on. So, they'll put out a tip jar or something, and I'll just turn right around and donate it back to them because they need help. Everybody needs help. So if we can do something with our talents that helps raise money for businesses, I mean, they're still trying to survive throughout coming out of the pandemic, and with inflation the way it is, they're trying to just get people in the doors to make money, to pay their staff, to compete with the rising food costs and things of that nature. So we really try to use our talents to financially bless others.
Now, Lee, you mentioned your full-time job is in the Secretary of State's office. Obviously, there's a turnover there that's coming up. But what happens to your job? Are you an appointed person in the office, or is this not reliant on who the Secretary of State is?
Well, I've been privileged to be with the office since January 2017, and I'm the senior field representative. But I'm like everybody else. I'm an at-will employee. I would like to think that I'm going to keep my job. I've been here the longest-serving field rep. I've got great relationships with county clerks all over the state and high schools all over the state. I also help all the municipalities with their elections. I work with chambers of commerce. I know Chris Warner won the Republican nomination. There is a Democrat nominee as well, and I would just love the opportunity to work with whoever's going to be the next Secretary of State and be their conduit and their bridge to take them all over the place and introduce them to county clerks. And so looking forward to working with the next person.
And Chris is Mac's brother, if that...
Absolutely. I love Mac. Across. He's been good to me, and him trusting me to be his field rep changed my life. It really did. And in the process, it's helped a lot of counties and municipalities. There
was a comment in our Facebook section that if the Rat Pack was performing today, they'd be canceled by modern culture and society. And if you take it literally, if you grabbed a bunch of people out of the 50s and 60s and told them to perform in the 2020s, yeah. But ultimately, you have to remember how performances happen, and performances are built on the culture in which they are created through. So they obviously would have adjusted their act based on modern society. They wouldn't be doing an act that wouldn't succeed. So, but I think you could make that case with pretty much anybody. If you pluck them out of their own time and moved them into the more sensitive times of the 2020s, pretty much nobody would survive if they were doing the same things they were doing right. 50 or 100 years ago.
Absolutely.
So,
well, our show tomorrow, it's a very family-friendly show. I mean, it's very clean. It's fun. It's wholesome. It's whimsical. It's just good, clean comedy, humor, and good singing. We don't lip sync. We sing everything. There's no background vocals. It's all us, and we're my team. They're very talented vocalists, and you will think it's Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, and Marilyn Monroe. From the dress to the costume to the personalities, we stay in character the whole time, and so we give them a great evening.
I've got one more question that's probably going to get me just destroyed on Facebook comments, but who are the other members of the Rat Pack?
On the poster?
The original crew. Well, it actually
the original crew.
It started in the 50s. Humphrey Bogart kind of started it. Frank Sinatra was a part of it, and his wife, Lauren Bacall, one day she looked at him after they'd been partying all night, and she said, "Y'all just look like a rat pack." That's all. Yeah. But the one that you mostly know that kind of started in the very late 50s and really went all through the 60s was Frank Sinatra. He was the chairman of the board. Dean Martin, Sammy Davis Jr., Peter Lawford, and comedian Joey Bishop. That was the five main guys. And then they had some females that hung around, like Shirley MacLaine. Marilyn Monroe was friends with all of them. So that's kind of the core right there.
And when they filmed the movie Ocean's 11, they were all in Vegas at the same time, and they were all performing. They would film the movies during the day and then do the performances in the nightclubs at night in Vegas. And that's really kind of the legend of the Rat Pack, when one of the few times they were really all together at once to actually earn and live out that nickname.
When I worked at when I worked at Trade Association downtown, my assistant of a certain age back in the 70s was a dancer in Vegas when the Rat Pack was performing, and she was often invited to the Rat Pack's table. And she told me that the Frank Sinatra was sort of aloof, but the friendliest person with her, the one who really took care of her, was Jilly, who was Frank Sinatra's caretaker,
Guy.
and Don Rickles. Don Rickles was also a hanger on, I guess, and he was just the friendliest, fatherliest person to take care of her and make sure she didn't get in trouble.
I've got 30 seconds. Lee, go ahead and plug the show one more time.
Well, again, Rob, Matt, John, thank you again for the gift of your time and letting us come on and promote this show. It will be tomorrow night, 8 p.m. at the Apollo Theater. It's a Rat Pack tribute show. It stars Frank Sinatra, Dean Martin, Marilyn Monroe, all of their iconic songs. We'll dress the way they dress. We'll act the way they act. We'll sing the way they sung. So you can call the Apollo at 263-6766. Or go to their website, go to their Facebook page some way, somehow. Get a hold of me, Lee Dean. You can find me on Facebook or text me at 304-972-1119. Some way, somehow. If you got any questions, just get a hold of somebody. We want to see you there, and we're excited to be at the Apollo. Thank you, Roger, Gula, Michael, for making all this happen. Guys, keep up the great job, all right?
Thank you, Lee. Have a great
bless
show.
you all.
And the money,
right, bye-bye.
The money goes to the Apollo. Final minute next.
See what spring is like on Jupiter and Mars.